So I'm watching to talk to Andrew Luck. I defended Chris Ballard when he went heavy offensive line in the draft, but they just had a tackle retire. Okay, it looks like when you watched him throw, Peter, you sat there and you watched his eyes, and you watch him, you can see if he grimaces. Like, what did you see? Did he look like he was in pain?
Not at all, Colin. He looked like you would never have known he was hurt if you didn't if you just watched that practice and didn't know his history and didn't know that he hadn't played in a game in 19 months. But he looked absolutely normal. I think the biggest thing for him is how he's being managed. Normally in an average football practice in the summer, a quarterback's going to throw 100 balls. That includes serious warm-up throws and things. I mean, he threw 68. And so they're documenting every throw he makes. And Frank Reich, the coach, told me they want him in every practice that he throws to throw between 65 and 70 balls. And they were right on it that day. But the one other thing is, look, he's probably not going to feel perfect on opening day in 5 weeks. But I do think, there's no question in my mind he'll play opening day, and barring anything structural going wrong, he should play 16 games.
I said to open my show today that a lot of people like edgy. The Oscars thought they wanted Seth MacFarlane, and then they had him host it, and they got really uncomfortable. And my former employers thought they wanted Barstool Sports, and then they hired them, and then they got really uncomfortable. The New York Giants are an accounting firm in cleats. They are mostly conservative, not over the top. Even their stars, Phil McConkey, Mark Bavaro, have not been flashy players, Jeff Hostetler, Phil Simms. Well, I read this morning, they want to make Odell Beckham. They're going to go long-term with Odell. I look at this relationship. The Giants' brand and Odell's are the opposite. I think they've been uncomfortable for 3 years with him. What do you make of this? You're the highest paid guy. We're all in. Do you think in their gut they're still a little uncomfortable with some of Odell?
I think they were uncomfortable in the 80s with Lawrence Taylor at times. And he gave them reason to be uncomfortable. I covered that team in the mid-80s for 4 years, and they had some sleepless nights at the top of the New York Giants. They love Lawrence Taylor, the player. They were very worried about Lawrence Taylor off the field. And I think there's some of that with Odell. But look, here's the way I look at it. If you are going to be great in the NFL today, you've got to take some chances. Everybody isn't a Boy Scout. And at this point, I think it's important that the Giants, barring any future incidents of stupidity by Odell Beckham Jr., I think they got to sign him.
We talked about Andrew Luck, and I think sometimes we forget with the emergence of Goff and Garoppolo and Dak Prescott and Deshaun Watson, we just forget how good Andrew Luck was. Well, J.J. Watt hasn't played in a while. You were in Texans camp, and I know you remember just how devastating he was. There's all these young players now, and Von Miller's getting the cover of magazines. So in Houston, what kind of J.J. Watt are we going to see?
Well, J.J. Watt over his 4-year period when he was truly great, a transcendent player, 2012 to 2015, had more sacks in that 4-year period than Lawrence Taylor ever had over a 4-year period, than Bruce Smith ever had in a 4-year period.
Wow.
And he was unstoppable, and he was also very versatile. He had 3 touchdown catches as a tight end. And so I go to camp, and I'm looking for every sign, and I see the J.J. Watt that looks like he wants to rip my head off when we're talking. And I'm exaggerating a bit, but he was intense when we talked. And to me, I really think that his situation right now is that he knows he has been invisible for 2 years because of injury.
Yep.
And he knows now that, okay, it's getting to be just a memory of how great he was. And so he knows that, and he told me, hey, look, I've told my family, I'm not going to tell you, but I have my goals for this year. And I think his goal is to get back to NFL Defensive Player of the Year form. He's won it 3 times. He's won it, more than the great players who play the game, like Reggie White at his position. So, and I just think he wants to get back to that level. There's no sign so far in Texans camp that he's not going to be able to play opening day and play a full load of downs.
That's exciting. Peter King joining us, NBC Sports, weekly Monday morning column, NBCSports.com, Football Morning in America, 3-time National Sports Writer of the Year. He's got the Peter King podcast, which I listen to and is great. So this is, by most standards, I watch a little bit of the preseason, but I'm not enamored with it. But I got to tell you, Peter, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Josh Allen. I cannot remember John Gruden. I cannot remember a preseason where there were more of these mysterious, enigmatic, hopeful stories. So, Baker Mayfield, what am I going to get here?
You know, I was at Browns camp last week, and Hugh Jackson pulled me off to the side after practice, and we were talking. And I've talked to Hugh many times about this subject and others about the quarterback position. And he said to me, and I quote, "I am not changing my mind." And, you know, about starting Tyrod Taylor. And Tyrod Taylor is going to be his guy, I think, barring something weird that happens, which it might. It's Cleveland. But I think what was interesting is he said to me that one day Baker Mayfield's going to thank me. And because I think some of the best quarterbacks ever, you know, basically have been in the freezer in that first year. Brett Favre didn't play. Aaron Rodgers didn't play. Carson Palmer in 2003 was the first pick in the draft, and the Bengals gave him a redshirt year. And I talked to Tim Couch last week, whose, you know, career is an example of what you shouldn't do with a young quarterback. And he said, just patience. You know, don't force this guy into the lineup. And I think Hugh Jackson realizes that, and I know this is going to sound strange, Colin, but even if it costs him his job, he's going to do the right thing for this kid.
Finally, Peter, you're in New York all the time. You have been at camp. But I saw a story yesterday. Shefty tweeted it that Sam Darnold could play. Now, I think Bridgewater's capable of playing. I thought Josh McCown last year surprised me, and he's also a great mentor. Gut feeling, Darnold, does he start week 1 of the regular season for the Jets?
Gut feeling, no. But, again, they don't sell insurance for this kind of stuff. If he's the best guy, he's going to play.
Yeah.
Because I think they think he's precocious enough to learn everything and to play opening day. But, look, every one of these teams is handling it differently. The number 1 pick in the draft is not playing right away. You know, the number 3 pick in the draft, Sam Darnold, could play right away. You know, Josh Rosen, Josh Allen, they're competing for the job. Josh Rosen probably starts the year on the bench, but Sam Bradford can't stay healthy for any length of time, so you never know. Every team is handling this differently. Personally, right now, I mean, it's going to sound silly. I think the Browns have the best idea.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.